and welcome to our first podcast for the Mentorship Collective. We are so excited to be here. I am Hylan.
And I am Nikki.
And we are two SLPs here for you, here for early career SLPs, clinical fellow SLPs. Our main mission of the Mentorship Collective is to provide solid support, mentorship, and guidance for you along your SLP journey, and also teach you strategies that have worked for us. We've coached, gosh, Nikki, how many SLPs, how many CFs have we coached? Over 20 CFs?
Yeah.
And
Over our years.
Over our years and over 25 across multiple states. We've taken students and we just love supporting SLPs. So I'll let Nikki tell you a little bit about herself and kind of dive into her background, and then we'll kind of get started on our discussion.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited for us to begin this journey. My name is Nikki. I have been a speech pathologist since 2012. I've been in private practice solely throughout that time period, and I just love those itty bitties. That's my favorite thing. I'm working with those families who are just getting a speech and language diagnosis or just entering that process of therapy. I think what we have found is that mentoring has just brought so much more joy than we thought it could. Not only are we helping families, we're also helping clinicians help families, which just brings a more lasting effect, and you're able to help so many more families. So I think that has just been so special about learning how to mentor CFs. I think there's been a lot of challenges. You and I both know there's a lot of things that we have learned throughout this time period where we have messed up at times, and then where we have really kind of excelled. And I think we're really excited to kind of show all of this. So yeah, I'm really excited. That's a little bit about me. I think we'll get more into it as we get through this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. And just a little bit about me. I've also been in private practice my entire career. I'm originally from Alabama, hence you will hear the accent a lot on this podcast. And same as Nikki, I can't echo her thoughts more. Love supervising, love helping clinicians, and we have such a passion together, uniquely as a really strong team, with helping clinicians just build their confidence and really their passion and love for our field. Because, you know, something we're going to kind of get into today is the fact that we feel like we're losing a lot of that passion. A lot of clinicians are burnt out, they're moving on, and we want to be, you know, a support system for that. So yeah, I also love the itty bitties. That's one of my passions, but pediatrics in general, supporting families along their journey, and giving them those communication tools and seeing that world open up to them is just magic. And so our idea with Mentorship Collective is to help spread that magic to everyone else so they can feel that consistently along their journey as well.
Yeah. I think sometimes you can just feel so alone when you're starting your career and you don't quite know where to go. I definitely felt like that, even though I had a wonderful my supervisor. I'm still friends with her. I love her. Janet, shout out to Janet, the best. It still just doesn't matter. You kind of need that little bit of a community. And nowadays there's just so much more available, which is so cool. So we're really excited to kind of bring that community here for anyone who's starting out in their career or someone who's starting on with mentoring and you don't quite know where to turn, because that's still a space where I found until Hylan was mentoring with me, I was kind of just trying to do what I was trying, like learn the best, Google a lot of things, but there's just not a lot out there. So we hope that we're able to help you navigate some of those tricky situations that you will get into as you mentor and as you continue in your career as an SLP.
Yeah, that's something that I really have learned so much from you, Nikki, was the value of having a strong team member that I could collaborate with about also how to mentor someone, because no one teaches you how to be a strong mentor. No one gives you the tools. I mean, yes, there's opportunities to get some CEUs for supervision, and you're required to get those. But that's something I really think we should talk about, is the power of helping other SLPs also feel empowered to be a strong supervisor, because SLPs want that in their career. They want to shake it up, right? They don't want to just treat all the time. They maybe want to supervise or take students, and that can be a little scary when you don't know what to do. And we have had a lot of experience providing that support.
Absolutely. And I think we could even start with, it started with Hylan and I entering into this new phase where we were helping set up a private practice. And I think probably where we kind of really spearheaded into really doing better at communicating was when you and I kind of had that moment where you were ready for growth and I couldn't give it to you based on what the structure of the company was. You were getting different information than what I was getting, and we were kind of at each other. We were passive aggressive, not on purpose. I didn't know what to do and you didn't know what to do. And then I said, let's just go and let's sit down. And I was so nervous. I was shaking my hands. I'm sweating just even talking about it right now. And we sat down and we had just the most honest conversation. And it was scary. You know, we cried a little bit, but it just worked out to be probably the best thing that you and I could have ever done. And it brought us closer, which is the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I really kind of got scared when I was having this conversation. I was like, oh my God, Hylan's done. She's going to quit. She doesn't want to work with me anymore. But what it did instead is it really brought us together. So that's something that we'll talk about a lot, I think, is the value of being vulnerable.
Yes.
And recognizing that it's okay to feel extremely uncomfortable within these conversations. My gosh, how many reviews have we done? And I hate every single one of them. I just don't like them.
And here's the thing. I think that people have to realize that those uncomfortable conversations are how you grow, and that you might not have ever had one of those uncomfortable conversations ever in your life because you avoided that conflict, because that's kind of what we're taught, I think, a lot of times as women, is to avoid the conflict. Or how do I deal with it silently or in a different way than just hitting it head on? And then understanding other people's perspectives, understanding that not everyone is out to get you or mad at you or upset with you. It's just putting yourselves in their shoes. And that's what you and I did. You put yourselves in my shoes. I put mine in yours. And that's how we built, because we had such a good friendship before. This was just a bump. And, you know, that's something that I think is super important, is always approaching every person's situation with empathy and with eyes open and your heart open to really listen to what they're saying. And that's something that we'll talk about a lot, because that helped us with our mentoring other therapists, each other, even family conversations, right? Even having conversations with parents, that's helped us so much. So that's really exciting for us to dig into.
Yeah, so I think that's a good place for us to start, is just thinking about how that vulnerability really helps to open that bridge and create that bridge with someone else.
Absolutely. So yeah, so maybe let's talk a little bit about, you know, your CF experience. I can talk a little bit about my CF experience, and maybe a few things that we didn't know, skills that we wish we would have learned. One of these being vulnerable and having tough conversations, and then how we think we can support that moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, my CF, I did have a really great CF. I loved my CF. I loved being in private practice. I loved my supervisor. I have some friends who are still my friends who were really good support systems. They were a few years out, which is really nice. It helps to have that community. I know a lot of people haven't been as lucky to have that little bit of a community when you go into your CF. I know that I am one of those people who just like to go and do everything. I just don't really ask a lot of help at first. I just want to kind of dive in and figure it out. That's my personality. And so I kind of took over for an SLP who had been working with a lot of these kiddos, and gosh, she had 20 plus years of experience, I think a little bit more. And so people just loved this therapist, and she was wonderful. And I came in and I was doing things a little bit different because I was a brand new CF. I had just got out of grad school. The research had changed and what we were doing had changed. And so it took a little bit of while for some of the families to really buy into what I was bringing to the table. They really liked my energy, but it was a little bit different than what they were used to. So that can be kind of, I think, probably the biggest challenge, is knowing that when you're taking over a caseload, they're comparing you without meaning to, but they're comparing you to the last therapist. So as a CF, I was kind of just thrown in. I was seeing 35 hours of kids just like consistently. So I had a lot of hours, and I just really didn't think about how that impacted my paperwork, getting everything done. Because when you just start, you just do whatever someone tells you. You don't really think about what this means when you're a CF. And so after I kind of was in the therapy piece for a few months, everyone started looking at my schedule and saying, like, this is not okay. We need to change it all up.
You cannot have 35 hours on your schedule as a clinical fellow.
35 hours and an evaluation once or twice a month, which is not a lot compared to some practices, I know, but still it was a lot. And I just was doing it, and I wasn't drowning at that point because I didn't have all of those update reports and reevaluations coming up. I was just kind of like in and not understanding what I needed to do just yet, just focusing on therapy. But it was a blast. I loved it. And I loved working with those families. And I did have some really hard bumps a few times. I had some parents who just didn't like my vibe the same way they liked the other person, who I took over for. They wanted more structure, and I'm a very unstructured therapist, and it really was hard for them to change. I had to really work with some families to gain that rapport. I had one family who it was really difficult to dive in as a CF and start working with older kids who were 12, 13, 14, who had been in therapy for so many years. and had hit this point where they weren't making a lot of progress. You have to be able to justify it through insurance, and I was having a hard time, and I was new, so I was just trying anything that I could. And I know I had some conversations a little too soon with some of these families that weren't even about discharge. It wasn't even anything like that. I was just trying to say that I needed the AAC device to be there. And I know that in that moment, I think we could do probably another podcast on just like mistakes we made when talking to families.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned.
Save that.
We'll talk about that. It's still one of those ones that like a stab to the heart of, I still wish I could go back to that moment and relive it. You can't. That's part of who we are. We just kind of have to take that, learn from it, and move on. But there were definitely a lot of things that I didn't know what to do when starting with these brand new families, or families who had been in therapy for such a long period of time. So I think those are my biggest challenges as a CF, just really understanding how to work with that population, how to work with families, because no one taught us how to talk to a family.
No one. It's so true. And I think what's so interesting about what you're saying too is that you actually really loved your supervisor. You had great support.
Loved her.
You had someone who was there for you to help support you, but you still had some struggles because you're going to. That's just part of the journey as a CF. When you rip off that Band-Aid and you go into the real world, it is so different from graduate school. And, you know, we both went to great graduate programs and we loved our professors and had great support. But there's nothing that really prepares you for that leap, right? And that's where your struggles came from, weren't so much your supervisor, but the things that you experienced within your CF.
Yeah. Well, and my supervisor not being available all the time. Not because she didn't want to be. She just had kids at the same time. So I will never forget, there was one kid. She'd just say, is there any kids you want me to watch? I'd be like, this kiddo. And she'd be like, I have a kid at that time. And we just could never figure it out. So it was always just me talking about it, but wishing she could like help me a little bit more within that session, or like see what he was doing and help me. And I think that's where, if I had had something like this, what we're doing, I would have probably reached out. And I think that would have just been really big help, because there were some kids where it was just, I didn't know what to do. I needed a lot more support. And she couldn't, because she just had kids.
She had kids. And so that's similar to my CF in that I moved across the country. I decided I wanted to move to San Diego from Alabama. I live in San Diego, by the way. We can talk a little bit more about our personal stuff a little bit later. Get to know us a little bit better. But yeah, so I moved across the country and it was terrifying. And I took a job with a private practice, and I just took a job that was paying me decent. I didn't know what questions to ask. I just knew I needed health insurance and I needed a decent pay. And that's it. So something I wish I would have known on the front end was what questions to ask when you're interviewing. So how many hours, am I supposed to bill? All those things. And I think, we definitely can dig into that in an episode as well to prepare CFs or future CFs. But same experience, I was booked a minimum of 2 evals, 1 to 2 a week. And I was so overwhelmed, and I had... It was so much. Like, what in the world? And I had to have those turned around within 2 weeks. And then I was helping support. There were some different evals that we did through SSI, which is like state disability funding as well, that I had to turn around within a week. And I was seeing all ages. I was seeing everything from, itty bitties all the way up to teenagers. And my supervisor, her name is Coco, and she was wonderful as well. So sweet. Shout out to Coco. So incredibly helpful. However, she wasn't always available. And oftentimes she wasn't able to watch the kids that I needed her to watch. But at the same time, I also didn't know and didn't feel confident asking her some of those questions. I didn't know some of the questions that I should be asking her because I was drowning. Mm-hmm. Like you probably felt that too. It was just that sense of, I gotta swim, I gotta see all these children, I've gotta show up, I've gotta smile. Lesson plans, what are those? Those are out the window. And I just didn't have the access to her that I wish I would have. And hence a program like this would have been huge to help me, just give me that extra supplemental support. Answer those questions, help me map out my clients, ideas for therapy, ask me those reflective questions. What should I be doing? What should I be looking for? And help me just stop and take a breath. How to manage my paperwork. I would just go take it on the weekends and do reports all weekend because of all the evals I had to do. And I just was miserable, to be honest.
Well, and you just don't know at that time period,
Yeah.
right? It was your first job. It was your first time in the speech therapy career. You wanted to do well, right? It's important for a lot of us who go into this field. We want to do well. We go into this because we are that type of person.
Right.
We want to shine. We want to do all of these things. And so there you are on Saturdays just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So that you don't drown so far down that you can't even see the surface anymore.
Exactly. And also have a little bit of fun, right? And try to make new friends and, try to find my place in this new city. And it was a really challenging time. And had I had a little bit of extra support in addition, I think it would have helped so much. So that's what we're here to provide. So I think we should also say that we do own our own private practice.
We do.
Words My Way, speech and language therapy, to kind of talk a little or build a little bit about what Nikki was saying earlier about us having experience building. We did. So we had a lot of great experiences together as partners, and that's what made it so special, actually building a speech language section of a company and seeing it grow and working on insurance contracts and recruiting families and collaborating with other professionals, which is also something they don't teach you in graduate school. Figuring out how to help support and collaborate parents, how to support therapists, who to hire, how to hire, what questions to ask. And so we did that for ourselves, and I'm very proud of us. And it's so fun having your own practice, for sure.
It's definitely rewarding. It's one of those things where at least the fires that were are created, that they're created by us at this point.
Exactly. And it's not as stressful because they're our fires and we know each other and we're so comfortable with each other and we have such a strong relationship that it really is that daily communication like sisters of, yep, this, no, that, well, this happened. Well, it is what it is. We learned.
It's been a ride. It's money but those are the biggest mistakes we've made. We've had to pay quite a bit of different fees we just didn't know about. So
quite a bit of
that's
fees.
Fun. Yeah.
It's the cost of doing business, they say, that you learn on the front end. And so it's been great. And we think that having that private practice and having that support for families is also what helps us continue to be in touch with what clinicians are feeling and because we see our clients, we treat our clients, and we love supporting them, and so we know the struggles, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, we know what kind of conversations work with parents. So that's something that we want to be able to contribute to young therapists as well.
Absolutely. And we do, just so everyone does know, we do telehealth therapy as well as in-person therapy. Telehealth we didn't do before the pandemic, and kind of like the rest of the world, we all jumped in and we just love telehealth therapy. It's amazing what you can do now. And so we do that mixture, and we are one-to-one. We have done groups in the past, but we are one-to-one. So we're not in the school districts where we do group settings, but we have worked with lots of SLPs who are, and we've worked with lots of SLPs who have transferred from the school districts over to private practice, or SLPs who have even been in adults, and they've changed from adults to pediatrics as well. So it's been quite the journey we've been on, and so we're excited for the rest of this journey. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. So is there anything else that we wanted to cover? Maybe a little bit about us and where we're located and kind of what we're doing personally so people can get to know us a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I recently just moved. There's just boxes everywhere. I'm currently sitting on the only chair we own that is not a love sack down in our basement. And I pulled it up from the family room, which is right over that. Just boxes everywhere, so you can't see it all, but a lot of stuff. I have a 5-month-old baby, which has been so fun. I just love her so much. It's been an extremely humbling experience being on this end as a parent and realizing how difficult parents really do have it. And then you add in appointments and having a second sibling. And I have so much more empathy than I did before. Oh, yeah. I'm from California, Hylan and San Diego. Love California. Miss it so much. Moved to Miami with my then boyfriend, who's now my husband. And then we've just recently moved out to Illinois. So it's been a very big difference in weather.
Yeah.
It's very cold.
From fire to ice, basically.
Yeah, so I'm really cold currently. Yeah. It's been walking outside and going from, Miami at this time of year is gorgeous. It's the best time of year to be in Miami. So we went from, good 75, 80, mild weather to the 20s and snow. And when we came here, there was snow on the ground. It's been a learning experience for us. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Yeah, I do not have a little twang in my speech. I do not have that accent that you do.
You don't, but you can emulate it pretty well at times.
I won't, but I can. I more just know when you're dismissing me. It's with that whelp.
Whelp to go. Yeah, you guys will get that too. My whelp. That's your cue. That's your social cue. It's time to wrap it up.
That's how you know this is over.
So funny. You also have 2 dogs that are like your babies.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about. Yep, they're 2 dogs.
I can't believe you left them out. Don't tell them.
I know. Oh my God, poor babies. Yes. They have unfortunately taken just a tiny bit of a backseat. They still get plenty of treats, and they have their peanut butter licky mats during the day. We call them nummies. Cute. So they get lots of good stuff during the day, but they have been transitioned from, we had a pool in Miami, and now we are in a backyard with it's cold and snow, and they have time limits to be outside because, you know, it's dangerous, which we had that in Miami. It was really, really hot during the summer, so they couldn't go out anyways. But they definitely have transitioned to the snow a lot easier than I thought. They do love it. And my older one, Murphy, is now playing with Daisy, which is nice. Before he refused because he only had, you know, he's a lab, water focus.
Yes.
And now he's playing with the younger one, Daisy, who's 2. Except for Daisy now doesn't understand. She's always tried to get him to play with her. And now he's playing with her and she's like, I don't know. I'm a little nervous. So yeah.
That's so funny. Do some speech therapy with your doggies on the reciprocal play there.
She's more like, okay, is this good? Is this good? I think we're good. But yeah, they're my little babies as well. My fur babies.
They're so cute, and your precious, precious, precious baby is just the cutest thing in the world, and
she's the best.
She's just the best. Yeah, so I'm originally from Alabama, and I moved to Nashville for a while, so shout out to all my Nashvillians out there, because I love Nashville. Worked at Vanderbilt University for a while in their Treatment and Research Institute for Autism Spectrum Disorders. And then I decided that I wanted to make another move. So in grad school, I loved Nashville, but I decided I wanted to maybe come out west. And San Diego and Denver were on my list. And then you never know what happens and who you're going to meet. Because then I met this man in Nashville. I'm having fun one day with my girlfriends, who now is my husband, and he lived in San Diego, and that's a story for another day. But I moved out to San Diego, and then we got engaged and married, and I love San Diego so much. I've been out here over 9 years, and it's fantastic. And he and I live together near lots of water. I won't tell you where, but we love the beach, we love hiking, we love camping, we love all the things. So yeah, and all of my family is back in South Alabama, so I'm there a good bit to see them. But yeah, and I met Nikki. We were so lucky to meet because we met working together at a private practice, and we just clicked. It was just easy. We were both working there, and what started out as hanging out at lunch turned into just really solid conversations and knocking between the walls at each other because we shared a wall.
You got to tell them what this meant at lunch. It meant I was going to your room and you were working out. You're busy. You were not interested in hanging out. Your door was shut. And I was like brand new, and I was like, hey, knock, knock, knock. Can I come in? And I just came in anyways.
Yeah. And that's because then, and a lot of SLPs probably feel this, there was so much to do, so many reports, so many notes, and unfortunately, that's the culture in a lot of practices, is keep your door shut and work during your lunch. And you opened me up to like, hey, chill, just take a breath. Like, you don't have to work all the time. Because I felt like even in that private practice, because I was still brand new out of my CF, that's what I was doing, was just, it was like, oh my gosh. And it was just, it was so fun.
And I'd had some more experience at that point, so I was like, let's take a lunch. Let's hang out.
Like, put down the computer.
Yeah, you'd be like typing, and I'd be like, Hylan, so how was your weekend? You're like, no. I'm like, come on, just 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes.
I was so traumatized from having to take all the work home. You know, like that's like it was burned in my brain, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not using my weekends for paperwork. Mm-hmm. And so you helped show me that balance of you can do both. You can have friends at work, you can take breaks, and you can do your paperwork here and not take it home. And that's something we're going to help clinicians do. We're going to share the love. Yeah, and then that turned into a beautiful relationship and friendship, and that has led us on to these journeys together that we have been on now for many years, and to this, and to be able to create this really cool resource for therapists, which is awesome.
So anyone who's here and listening, thank you for joining this journey with us. We're excited to be on it with you.
we're really excited. So we're going to be on the lookout for podcasts and also just talking more about what we're providing. We're launching and we have launched some programs that are really exciting, specific to clinical fellows, online training programs that give you, and I wouldn't even call them training programs. I think we should reframe that. It's actually support. It's supplemental support for early career SLPs, supervisors, new supervisors. You can get professional development hours. We're working on the CEU situation for sure on some of these. And we're really excited. We don't want to give away too much. Keep following us because super exciting things ahead.
Yeah, it's meant to help. It's definitely a resource that we have taken all of the knowledge that we have and all of the CFs that we have helped and all of the mentors we have helped to mentor CFs. And we've taken that knowledge because we've just had so many of our own CFs talk to their friends who are in their CF situation to say they wish they had a Nikki and a Hylan, and they wish they could learn from us. And we just thought, well, if there's a way for us to help more people, why would we not? Because this is like what we love to do so much. I think mentorship is our calling. And so we're really excited to dive in. And hopefully these resources will be super helpful to you. We think they're really helpful. So we're excited.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, stay tuned. Keep following us at Mentorship Collective on Instagram and TikTok. Anything else we should tell the amazing SLPs out there about what we're doing, Nikki?
No, just hang in there. Every day is a new day.
Yep, every day's a new day. Hang in there. We've got you. We're here for support, and we're super excited to be on this journey with you guys.
Yeah. Don't forget to drink your water. Drink your water.
Yes, drink your water and get sleep. Drink your water and get sleep. Absolutely. And find some fun. Find some fun. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And we will connect with you soon.